Here's a home phone, and here's a home phone. They're both reliable and provide unlimited local calls. But that's where the similarities end. This one includes more than 18 popular calling features, like call waiting, caller ID, three-way calling, and call forwarding. The other one charges extra for those, as much as $34.50 more a month if you add them all up. This one includes voicemail. The other one does not. This one has low long-distance rates, just 15 cents a minute to the US. The other one charges 47 cents a minute for the same thing. So, which one would you choose for your home phone? This one is Rev Voice, and you can get it for as low as $14.99 a month. Rev Voice, the better choice. Sign up for Rev Voice today for as low as $14.99 a month. You get lots of free features, lower long-distance rates, and great sound quality. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up for Rev Voice today.
The Prime Minister goes on the offense. He says his government will get crime under control.
We cannot have the Wild West in this country.
This as two men are shot at a counseling center.
One of the fellas just running, saying gun.
And detectives investigating the third murder in 3 days. Plus, police recruits look on as an officer faces firearm charges. Those stories and more coming up. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Here are the stories coming out of the NB12 newsroom this evening. With more than 400 people out on bail for serious crimes in the country, Prime Minister Perry Christie says government will not allow the country to be transformed into the Wild West. Christina McNeil was there as the Prime Minister went on the offensive, detailing the action he is prepared to take to get crime under control. Here's her report.
There are 400 plus people out on bail with serious criminal offenses, I am advised. The courts have put them there. But for the protection of the community, we must know who they are, where they are, and they must be visited regularly so that they know we are watching them. We cannot have the Wild West in this country where with impunity young men could ride around and shoot people down as if they're dogs. It's not gonna, listen, I'm telling you, if it takes us another month to mobilize, you're gonna see the mobilization and they are going to feel the mobilization. It has to happen.
We cannot allow a culture of killing to take over the country, according to Prime Minister Perry Christie, who was speaking at an urban renewal event. The Prime Minister says he's pledging not only financial resources, but also manpower toward pushing back at the criminals who seem intent on destroying the country's communities and reputation.
On Monday, Christie outlined a 20-point crime plan, which, among other things, will increase saturation patrols. Christie says the majority of murders that have taken place in recent times have occurred in the constituencies of Farm Road and Centerville and Bain and Grantstown. He adds that he is in talks with the Ministry of Finance to recalibrate resources to dedicate them to the fight against crime. He says he wants more unmarked patrol cars on the streets. In fact, Christie says he had officials collect cars for that purpose just yesterday.
And if I have to put a policeman and a police car on every corner, as they do in some countries, we are going to communicate to the criminals in this country that we are going to root them out for wherever they are, and whatever it takes, we're going to dedicate to that happening, because we are not going to allow a small group of young men in particular, sometimes harbored by their parents, sometimes protected by their girlfriends, but we are not going to let them destroy the future of the Bahamas.
The Prime Minister adds that we cannot have people afraid to leave their homes and go out on parks. He says if people don't feel safe, they will eventually start asking for outside help. But he notes that the police and urban renewal officers can do it together from the inside. That would call for going house to house in the communities. But he notes that if politicians can do it in the run-up to elections, urban renewal can do it to stamp out crime. He adds that the Bahamas is on the brink of creating more jobs and moving out of the recession. But Christie hopes that transformation won't be marred by increased crime and crime warnings.
2014 and 2015 are defining years in terms of moving out of the recession. It's not going to be good for us if the international press, whilst I'm talking about improved economy, is saying, but you can't go this place and you can't go that place, because if you go that place, you might get hurt, you might get robbed.
Christie says even if he has to join urban renewal officers going door to door in the communities, he will do what has to be done to turn the crime situation around. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Well, before the Prime Minister spoke, gunfire erupted outside a government counseling center after a gunman opened fire on patients this morning. Police say one man was shot during the brazen attack by a gunman who witnesses say was pacing outside the center. Our Jasmine Bonamy has more details in this report.
The lone shotgun shell is the only evidence left behind after witnesses say a lone gunman paced outside the clinic for several minutes before opening fire on his victims this morning.
According to officer in charge of the Central Division, Superintendent Lehman Delaveau, police were alerted to the shooting around 11:15 this morning at the PHA Community Counseling and Assessment Center on North Market Street. Delaveau says when officers arrived on the scene, they learned a man had been shot. Delaveau says the shooting occurred after 4 men, one who was armed with a shotgun, exchanged words with the man inside.
4 young men approached the counseling center, one armed with a shotgun, spoke to a young man who was on the inside at the time. Shots were fired and the young man was subsequently hit.
Delaveau says the victim was taken to hospital by ambulance, but his condition is not known. Delaveau said he could only confirm one person was shot. However, NB12 understands 2 men were taken to hospital. Staff inside the counseling center insisted they were too shaken up to appear on camera, but they did confirm that the victims who were shot and at least 2 of the attackers were patients. They also confirmed that no police officer was stationed at the center, whose main clientele are court-ordered substance abusers and known gang members. Several witnesses on the scene spoke to our news team as officers processed the area. A witness who only wanted to be identified as Travis says he was attending court-ordered drug counseling with his neighbor, who was one of the men he alleged was shot. Travis says his neighbor was shot in the mouth by the gunman, who had been pacing across the street from the clinic as they, along with several other people, tried to sneak out the building. He says he and his friend raced to the East Street area where they flagged down a passing police car as his 21-year-old neighbor clutched his bleeding jaw. Back at the scene, Travis showed us his neighbor's bloody t-shirt.
One of the fellas just running saying gun, gun. And then when we peek outside, you see the fella walking up and down the sidewalk with the gun in the hand. So they have another door. 1 or 2 people start slipping out that door, so I go on out that door too. But when he saw us come out the side door, he come down the sidewalk further. And 1 or 2 fellas telling him like, I don't come from in the front of the building. So he said, what? And he just started shooting. When I came in there, I feel like it was something that happened. Because they said, I meet them in there talking about it was like five men to 1. So must see it took 5 of them to get him out of the building or something like that, I don't know. So I ever felt like somebody had an argument before I came. But when I came in there, the counselors, nobody said nothing. So we just was sitting in there till we had a gun.
How do you feel knowing that you have to come here for counseling and something like this happened?
I could say it's a working man. I supposed to be to work right now. And just true, it's mandatory. I had a feelings to miss this class today. But my neighbor, the one who gets shot, he's like, no, we going today. You can't miss classes. So we just come. That's what we come do.
The shooting has left at least one other patient shaken up. This witness, who did not want to appear on camera, says he's apprehensive about returning and wants to see security at the center beefed up.
Wow, it's sad. Still sad. It ain't safe. The police got to do something, not the government. This the police road.
Anything else you want to add?
No, just the police got to do their job, man. They got to come out on the road more than what they on the road. That riding up and down ain't working. They got to sit down on these corners. That riding ain't working. They got to sit down. If they sit down on the blocks, then they might get some. They might get some results. But just riding through the streets, that ain't working, man.
The scene caused a major traffic jam this morning, with officers forcing everyone to detour, including several tourists and even Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson. Meantime, police are asking for help solving this case. Delavaux says police are expected to release a sketch of the attackers. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
And police are also investigating another shooting incident that saw the country's murder count rise to 3 for the year. In the East Street area last night, a man was shot and killed right outside his home. Dana Smith has that story.
The victim was standing in a parking lot in front of his Taylor Street home when he was shot multiple times to the back in a drive-by shooting. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson said police discovered the victim's body after receiving reports of gunshots being fired in the area.
The responding officers, upon arrival, conducted inquiries through the area and discovered the body of a male lying on his back just on the southern parking lot, just on the area here, suffering from apparent gunshot injuries to the upper back area.
Ferguson said EMS personnel pronounced the victim dead. Police believe the victim was shot by occupants of a gold-colored car who sped off after opening fire.
Our initial information that we're working with at the moment is that occupants of a small gold vehicle was in the area discharging firearms. These persons are very likely to be responsible for this fatal shooting.
This incident marked the third murder for 2014 and came just days after the Christie administration announced an array of new initiatives to fight crime. Ferguson said, however, the fight against crime does not fall solely under the portfolio of police. The public must also play a part.
What are the police doing? You know, it's what are the citizens in the community doing? The persons in the community have the information that the police need to assist in putting a dent in some of these criminal activities, and we are asking members of the public who have this information to provide us with the information.
Ferguson also added, despite the country's persistent crime rate, police are not discouraged.
Are we not discouraged? This is a collective responsibility of all Bahamians, so the police cannot be discouraged.
Also on the scene last night, Bahamas Christian Council President Ranford Patterson, who said he came to the scene as a show of support for police and the victim's family.
This is ridiculous. Every day, I can't imagine what they go through every day, and so we just want to be as a support. If they need us, that we are here to support them in any way we can. We think we're in a crisis mode right now, and those who don't believe that, they're crazy. We are in a terrible state, and all hands need to be on deck, every one of us. We got to stop cloaking people, stop hiding behind stuff, and just start speaking. Say who these fellas are, and let's bring back our country. If we are not careful, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose big.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
62 police recruits arrived to the magistrate's court this morning to watch the arraignment of a former police constable on gun charges. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, 33-year-old Wenzel Davis of Atlantic Close pleaded not guilty to possession of an unlicensed firearm. It is alleged that on Sunday, December 15, 2013, Davis was found in possession of a Springfield XD-40 pistol and was not the holder of a license in the prescribed form from the licensing authority, authorizing him to possess the firearm. Davis also pleaded not guilty to a charge of possession of ammunition. Now, it is alleged that on that same day, Davis was found in possession of 7 live rounds of .40 ammunition, again without the proper license. Davis was represented in court by attorney Michael Kemp, who argued for his client to be granted bail. Kemp told the court there are people who have been accused of murder and armed robbery who have been granted bail, and questioned why his client, a former police constable, is still on remand. Kemp argued Davis was a man of good character and is prepared to report to the police station daily as part of a potential bail agreement, much like he did while serving as an officer. However, Chief Magistrate Ferguson Pratt said she was not prepared to grant Davis bail as she was still awaiting more information from prosecution. She said, quote, "Justice rushed is no justice at all," but she added the matter would be treated as a priority in her court. Davis was remanded to prison until his next court appearance on January 17th. Now, the Chief Magistrate also took a moment this morning to address the 60-plus recruits who filled her courtroom. Although noting Davis is innocent until proven guilty, she told the recruits there are certain experiences they need not have and to make up their minds on which road in life they should take.